We grew up in a Christian cult that shaped the way we saw God, people, and even ourselves. Leaving our church wasn't easy, but it led us to something better: truth, freedom, and healing. The McMaster's Chronicles is a place where we tell our story, and hopefully a place for others who've walked through spiritual abuse to feel seen, understood, and not alone. We talk about abuse, recovery, rebuilding faith, and the messy, beautiful process of learning how to live again. You'll also find the everyday stuff: our dogs, cats, garden, and all the simple joys that remind us why life is worth rebuilding. This is the McMaster's Chronicles, our story of healing, honesty, and hope. Join us as we chronicle our life, because recovery is real, and so is redemption.
Set. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of McMaster's Chronicles. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Joy.
And today we're going to talk about something very personal to me.
And triggering.
But just to give you, I just want to give y'all a little background before we get into the specifics. But I was an adult in this church starting around 2013, 14, something like that, when I was like 21, 22. That's when I came back from college and everything. And so this is my experience over those 10 years, I guess, in the church. And during that time, I think we had 50-ish people. Around 2013, we had 50-ish people. And by the time I left, there was only about 25. But that, just to give context, that during this entire time, and I know it happened before I was, and you have a story about it, it happened before this 2013, but the church, I know we've talked a lot about the financial things, how the church had to provide for the finances of all the pastors and everything. But not only did we have to do that, we had to, specifically for the pastor emeritus and also some for the other two pastors, take care of practically everything at his house. So mowing the yard, weed eating, changing a light bulb, changing locks on the door, doing any type of landscaping in their yard, painting it, washing it, cleaning their cars, anything that you can think of that like a normal family would just take care of themselves or whatever. We had to do that.
What was the reason given for that?
I think what I remember was his reason was that, like, I think it was we were supposed to work together to show the unity of the church, work together as men. We're supposed to show brotherly love by taking care of our brother, aka the pastor. We're supposed, because like, you know them by their love for one another. That's what the Bible says. So he used that as like, you should be, he would always say like, I'm just like the example, or the one person that you can start showing this to. You should be doing this for everybody, for each other, and all that stuff. But he would demand so much be done for his house that there was no time to do anything for anybody else. Again, this is on top of making all the money for them.
Above the tithes.
But way above the tithes.
Making money for the need above the tithes.
Yeah, his entire salary. So, basically, I did that for almost 10 years. Probably 10 years. When I was in college or before college, I would mow his entire yard by myself with a push mower. And he had like an acre and a half. And this was also being done. I was doing this whenever I had a heart condition. And I remember like sometimes being out there mowing his yard and then having to stop mowing and just lay down because I was so exhausted because my heart wasn't pumping enough blood. And I remember him driving past and being like, "Hey, you okay?" And then I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just resting," or whatever. But I never did this ever. Like he would come and see me and then just move on. And I was laying down in the grass. I was like taking a lot longer because I couldn't do it. And then, so I did this from college, but like ever since I became an adult and moved and was doing it, I did a lot more. So that's just kind of the backdrop. And I think your dad did stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think all the men did. Now, if you're a pastor, you get special privilege and you don't have to do it as much.
Yeah, well,
Like other pastors, because there's multiple pastors, but the pastor emeritus was the one that had the most done to his house.
yep.
And the other pastors didn't have to do that as much. As time went on and there was less men, the pastors on the hierarchy, that the structure that they have,
Right.
the ones on the lower hierarchy had to help the lower men.
So basically, yeah, it came down to where it was only me at
Yeah.
this point, and I had a heart condition and had surgery where the doctor said I could only let my heart rate get to 120. So there was like no option. I was the only person that was doing it, and when I couldn't physically do it anymore,
Yeah.
they still got me to do some of
The
it.
doctor said that even before your surgery, he said the 120 thing, our heart rate couldn't go
Yep.
above 120.
And that's kind of the story I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I mean, the pastors, only at that point did the pastors ever get involved, any of the pastors, like, and they were helping just to take care of Pastor Emeritus's house.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this went on for years, and I mean, we built a fence for him. We stained that fence. We planted trees. We did landscaping. We removed mulch. I mean, we did like anything and everything that he wanted. If he wanted it, we just had to do it. And I would say 8 times out of 10, it was for free, in the sense of like the actual materials we paid for,
Yeah.
and he didn't pay us back.
I
But
remember-
all of the labor was free.
I remember asking you, because I think there was a period of time where you paid for the materials and you did not ask for repayment for them.
Right.
And I remember saying, like, I'm like, are you, like, is he paying you for that? Like, is he paying you
So
back?
I started giving him like, this is how much it was, this is how much it was. And like, because he would never like ask me
No.
if it was, I mean, maybe he did a couple times, but it was like, oh, great, you're just going to do that. But even now, like, I did things for him on his most recent house, his current house. I scheduled him to get his window screens put in his entire house. I scheduled for his, the crawl space to be like redone. I scheduled for his entire house to be painted, his entire yard to be like redone, all of this stuff. And through all of that, I would pay for it, and then he would reimburse me. But he would always reimburse me like $200 a week or $300 a week, and I think we spent $6,000 on it or whatever. But he paid me back until we left, and he still owed me like over $2,000 and never paid me. And he just, I guess, decided since we left, he didn't owe me that.
I just
or
think
something.
like that 2000 is like not even compares to
Oh, that's just
what
like
you've
that.
even done for him. Like, that's
Yeah.
not even,
That's
there's
not
way
compared to the
more.
hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of other stuff. But the
Yeah, so
that just kind of gives a backdrop of how the thing that is so tricky is he uses, and all people in an abusive situation like this use something that sounds good and is right. Like, you want to help each other. Like, there's no problem with going to help a friend out if they need help at their house, if they physically can't do something, if whatever. But it wasn't just that. It became a demand. Like, you have to do this for me. And like, by this time, I just remember like,
you have a lot of trauma around this. And like, even I will say that you do not like working on our house because of how
this.
bad it was to work at his house, where like there was like there would always be something wrong, or like whenever something would go wrong, then you would have to fix it. But like, even when I do the yard work, and I do a lot of stuff around the house because I know how much it's like weighs on you. But also your heart too. I don't want your heart rate to get above 120. So
it was just like
But-
so bad. There's just so many things that I think about.
it's something that it's sort of like a dream. It's like a dream where it's like you have like, I have these like memories that are just like there's so much that have happened surrounding his house and surrounding the different like facets of his house, and how he wants it done one way, and then if it's not done this way, then it's bad. But he'll say he said something when he didn't really say something, or he'll expect a completely unrealistic thing, and you would try to get him to do that thing, or get another person to do that thing, like paying a contractor. But then that contractor is like, it's not possible, and then he's like, you have to make it possible. It's just like
I remember a specific situation like that, because the contractor who was building his house had talked to somebody else about like something with his mantle, or I don't remember the specific situation, but it was some aspect of the house.
It's about the mantle,
right?
Yeah.
And it was like he was saying it has to be, the pastor emeritus was saying it has to be this way, and the contractor was like, no, that's like, you can't do that according to code. But he was like, no, I want it this way. You got to figure out a way to make it happen. And like he would basically say things that were not even legal or like what should by code be done. And eventually he'd have to like come down from it, but you would get in trouble for like disagreeing with him or saying that it doesn't work, because it's like, no, you always find a way. You don't say no, you persevere and you figure it out. And
he'll make like something that's not like, he makes things moral. He makes things noble when they're not noble.
Right.
Yeah. So
and I remember this time. It was 2024, is the beginning of the year. So at this time, I've taken over. I own 3 businesses at this time, or we own 3 businesses at this time. I work full time. I'm taking care of their yard. I'm supporting pretty much 80-90% of the church at this point. It was me and one other man in the middle of a 30-person church. This other guy was the contractor of his house, contractor of the church building, contractor of another person's house in the church, also supporting the church, also doing his own business. And I remember I'm at work trying to get things done, and I get this text from him, from the pastor emeritus, saying, I've been relegated to the back burner. So like he would keep like giving, like, I want mulch in this area of my yard. I want the weeds taken out. I want the rocks removed from my yard. He was like, even if you have to go and pick up, he had about a half an acre. He was like, even if you have to go and pick up all the rocks by hand, that's what I want you to do, to get all the rocks out of my yard. I want you to dig this like waterway or whatever from next to his driveway so that the water will flow the right way, and we need to put rocks in it and all this different stuff.
There was a whole grass saga that occurred.
A whole grass saga. But then I remember him texting me and saying, I've been relegated. This has gone on this long. This has gone on this long. Some of the reasons why things got dragged on is because we're busy. We're working other things, providing for them, everything else. It rained, so we can't mow, which messes up our schedule, which changes everything. Things get delayed. When you're working on like 10 things for him and then all the other stuff, things take time. And he was like, I now demand priority. He texted me that. I demand priority over our jobs, priority over our families, priority over anything and everything in our lives. He demands.
That's strange, because
priority.
They're saying build the family, build the church, but apparently he's demanding priority.
He said, and I have it, it's in writing, I now demand priority. This will get done. And then soon after that is whenever that contractor, that person left the church because of all the stuff that he ended up having to like work 4 hours a day for free at this pastor's house. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but so then I took over all of the yard work myself, housework, everything, running all my businesses, single-handedly supporting the church financially. And I remember going to Firehouse Subs right after this gentleman left, and talking with 3 of the pastors, not the pastor emeritus. And they're like, we'll be with you. We'll help you do whatever. If we need to sell, whatever. They never did anything. They started helping me maybe a little bit at the yard, pastor emeritus's house, but
So this, I think, a critical point, point to make. Well, this was actually after your surgery.
Before
your surgery. So it's 2023.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I said 24. It was 2023.
It is 2023. So this is prior. There's a surgery coming August 2023, and they know this surgery is coming, and they're requiring this from you. And what kind of labor are you doing by yourself?
So he wanted 4 garden beds. They were 4 by 8 by 2 or something like that. So like 4 width, 8 long, 2. So 4 times 8 times 2 is 64 square or cubic feet. So I had to fill. So what they did is they brought in a truck, dumped a bunch of dirt on near their driveway, and it was probably 100 and so steps from the driveway, the dirt, to the thing, and I had to go through a fence. And I had to take a wheelbarrow, put the dirt in the wheelbarrow, roll it to the backyard, dump it into one of the 4 garden beds, and do that for 256 cubic feet of dirt, because to fill all 4 garden beds. There's a lot of shoveling. It's a lot of dirt. There's a lot of time. It's a lot of everything. And I was doing it, and he'd be like, "How's your heart rate? What's it doing?" And whenever I stop and talk to him, I'd be like, of course, I'm in a mode where I have to do this too, but I would tell him, sometimes it goes above, but right now it's at this rate.
I want to explore, why did you have to? What was the punishment for not? What was the alternative?
So that's where I'll read what he said to me. So that, I think, sets up the kind of the circumstance. I'm now building the rest of the church building at this point.
Yeah.
I finished it in the middle of June. Running these businesses, preparing these businesses for me being gone from my surgery. And we take a vacation a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks before my surgery so that we can have time together. And then I kind of start slowing down. I start being like, okay. And at this point too, I'm thinking I might have to have a cath before my surgery. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking I'm going to be out, a week or 2 before. Yeah. So I'm just going to read it word for word. He writes me and says, "The old Jonathan would stay in daily contact with joyful communication, immediately respond to grass and whatever was needed, take his time, and do a good job. The new Jonathan does not communicate unless I start it, puts off grass and whatever is needed, spends minimal time, and does not do a good job. Does not stay up on what is needed, but waits for my second or third prompt and then is technical and cold. Please do not justify or make excuses. I know what betrayal feels like and how it grows." So that's what he told me. Basically, he's saying the old me would do a good job. The new me doesn't do it as much, leaves before it's done, and doesn't communicate as much. And then I respond to him thinking like, oh yeah, you're right. And actually I was with the head pastor this time at lunch and talked to him about it. And he was like, well, he kind of agreed with everything the pastor emeritus said.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the lead pastor is that you think he's very covert, and you think if you talk to him, then maybe there'll be some understanding, but he will always back up the crazy that the pastor emeritus says. And he acts and even if what the pastor emeritus says contradicts what the lead pastor has been saying the whole time, he'll act of course that's what I mean, because the lead pastor will not cross the pastor emeritus because everyone is afraid of the pastor emeritus.
So I responded to him and he wrote me back. He said, if you can explain it away as being overwhelmed, because I said I was overwhelmed with everything because of everything that I just explained. If you can explain it with being overwhelmed, etc., then it was never love and concern for me. It was just a job you had the luxury to do until it wasn't. If it was love and concern, then it would never have been compared to any work you had to do, little or a lot, and would always maintain the highest priority. Your love has been hypocritical, a luxury. You are now weeks behind. Beware trying to fit me back in, just raising my work priority up a few notches from the present rock bottom. Get it done joyfully or forget it.
Forget it. That would be me. Forget it, bud.
If you don't, what does that mean? If you don't do it,
What did that mean?
it means that, number one, it means you don't love him.
Yeah.
It means you don't care about him.
Mm-hmm.
It means you're not, following what God is leading you in of being like a godly man. You're supposed to take care of people and stuff. But it's just like, if you
don't love him and you're not being a godly man, does that mean you're lost?
Well, it would get to that.
It would get to that.
It wouldn't like start with that, but it would get to that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, the thing is that he didn't care at all. And I remember him telling me, you should get up at 6 o'clock and come take care of my house so that it gets done. He didn't care about anything that I had to do in my life. He said I was a very, I don't know if he used the word lazy. I know he did, but like the word that I'm thinking of is like, I would just like to put things off or whatever. And it's like he had no care. Yeah, he had no care for running businesses, providing for his entire financial well-being, still taking care of his stuff. Like, it was like him or nothing.
So when you saw those text messages, did you realize you're not realizing, wow, this man is disrespecting me? You're feeling maybe still like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Is that
totally.
Kind of how you're feeling? Yeah.
And then it was just perpetuated by the pastor that I was talking to, because I'm like, this is crazy. At first, there's a response of like, what? I know I'm not like this. But then I'm like, I must be wrong. I must be whatever. Mm. But he just comes straight after you of like, you're this terrible person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, the things that I did for that man. And he just didn't care. And then there's a whole ordeal with his yard. These people came, seeded his entire yard, did a ton of work. He paid them. It was a contractor. And they did a really good job. And he wanted a certain type of grass, Bermuda grass. And Bermuda grass takes several years to really cultivate and grow and everything like that. And then he starts dictating what they're supposed to do. Their job was to come and seed the yard. And then he's like, they should have removed the weeds. They should have done this. They should have continued to fertilize it. They should have done all this, and that. And I'm the one that has to go talk to them and say what they're supposed to do according to him. And they're telling me the original contract of like, we came, we seeded it. We give you information about how to maintain it and grow it. This looks normal for this type of grass, all this stuff. And he's like, no, they're liars. They just don't want to deal with it. And then he was like, they just say like, F you to me. And he said it to me at his house. And I'm sitting there like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I know they're right. Like, I know what they're doing, what they're saying is right. I've been in business. I know everything they did was fine. And he's like, no, they have to do this. We've lost all this time. No, that's not true. And then he was like, you believe them over me, don't you? And I just didn't say anything because I'm like, yeah. And he was like, so I'm going to take your silence as yes. And then he was like, well, maybe I just won't even come to your surgery, because he was going to come to my surgery. If you don't, and he was like, maybe I just won't come to your surgery if you don't really care about what I have to say. And so
I think I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about, number one, the surgery part, because I don't know if people who follow us know that Jonathan's had now 5 open heart surgeries. And the last one was 2023. And
at this time,
in that surgery, you almost
died.
Died 2
It was
times.
after the surgery.
Yeah.
In recovery.
But the people that we talk about were present at the surgery. And so that's what made it harder for him to leave in the end, because he appreciated them being there and thought that he felt like he owed them back. And that's how they act about it, But this is what Jonathan's describing is not new. That they weren't, however, they did use him. They used his kindness and they used his generosity. But I remember growing up and these similar requirements for the men having to work at the house. And my dad was one of the men. He is not a pastor, so he was not protected in the hierarchical structure. And so I remember very clearly the men always getting in trouble for not doing something wrong. And whether or not that was true or not, I don't really want to get into it. I know Jonathan's perspective of events, and it seems like the pastor emeritus is very unreasonable and doesn't really remember what he says accurately, or purposefully doesn't remember and manipulates the situation.
Yeah.
But I remember going, my dad was a painter, and he painted these columns in the pastor emeritus house when we were living in Charleston at the time, and he had to paint these columns over and over and over again. And it was the kind, when the sponge painting was popular or kind of popular, and he tried to make the columns look like marble columns. But then they would analyze, and he would come back and he would fix it. And my dad's very meticulous and everything. And so there's just there's a lot of using of people's skills and good intentions. And then my dad was always gone at night. There was a time where my dad was always gone at night, and there was one of the members owned a restaurant, and he would always have to work at this restaurant. They also built the restaurant from scratch, and he had to build it. And so he's always gone. And they would blame what they would do, and they would blame the men for not taking care of their households. But in reality, burdens that should not have been placed on these men were placed on these men, and they were under threat of severe consequence, emotional consequence, interrogation tactics, and emotional blackmail, and there were severe emotional, in some case also physical. I just remembered a story you told me, and you didn't tell me till after we left. There's something where you were supposed to move boxes at the pastor emeritus house. Can you tell me that story? Is it too much?
It's just all just so bad. It was they had just moved into their new house, and he texted me, and I've looked back for the text, but I don't have them. And he said, we need these boxes moved from the attic downstairs, or from downstairs to the attic, something like that. And then he was and then we'll need, I think that's all he said. And then I was great, we'll get it done. I did it. And then later that night, while we're in a meeting with somebody, I get a call and a text from another man in the church, and he's trying to let me know. He's we need to go tonight and get the rest of the storage unit from this person and bring it to his house. And I'm okay, why? He didn't tell me that. The pastor emeritus didn't tell me that. I have the text conversation, and I don't have it now, but I know then I had it and could reference it. And he never said anything about that. And so I get there and I'm like, you never said anything about this. And he was like, yes, I did. You know exactly what I was saying. And I was standing in his house and I'm like, this was the first time that I was like, no, like you did not do that. And then he pushes me backwards and kind of like advances toward me. He doesn't hit me in the face. He'd hit me in the face years before about something. He didn't hit me in the face this time, but he was physical. Until I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like I didn't listen to what you were saying. And he basically like threatened physical violence to get me to listen to what he was saying. And that's what he would do a lot, not just the physical violence part, but what he would do is he would say he said something, or say, even if he didn't say it clearly, he'd be like, you knew exactly what I was saying. You just decided whatever. He was just determined that we would know that. And there were so many things, you remember, like, there's just so many things that would happen like that. And he would just make stuff up.
I remember he would just like randomly come up to me and be, well, just like super ugly to me. And he would make me feel like, he's like, I told you this. Did you not do it? And I'm like, you didn't tell me that. And then, but you can't say that.
You can't say that because then he'll be like, you didn't listen or whatever.
Or
and so,
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
him being like, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Or him being like,
'cause no matter,
don't talk.
Yeah.
He would say, you can't talk.
There was never an option that he was wrong.
Yeah.
It was always, you didn't hear, you didn't listen. He was not the one. There was zero chance that he didn't actually say it. He remembered every time. He remembered 100% clearly what he said and how he said it and all of that. For my whole life. That's how it's been.
If you're not aware, like if you're a child, which we were children, and then you're raised in it, and like you don't know that this is the behavior of an abuser. Like you don't know that.
Yeah.
You're just like afraid. You just like don't have any self-confidence or anything because that's been literally beaten.
Yeah.
The self-confidence, the normal self-confidence has been beaten out of you and squelched deep down inside. And you question every aspect because you've been made to question it. That is the condition of people in there right now that have grown up under these conditions. And they have to do incredible mental gymnastics to keep it all together. To keep the charade going. And you like want to believe that this person is right because the alternative is to face that you've endured really, really, really bad things. And I think that's to the people in there, it feels like your entire world is dependent upon the happiness of this individual.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say that, no, that is absolutely absurd. It's really, we're all going for God. But what this individual does is he twists his desires and his demands, and he makes them the same as God's desires and God's demands. And so not only is this person just very harmful, but he also spiritually abuses. There's like a whole other level of spiritual abuse on top of just the relational abuse. And so to fail this man is to fail God. And that is how it is linked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people in there feel right now. And they feel it not just for the pastor emeritus, but for the lead pastor and for the pastor evangelist and maybe even the music pastor. We don't even know. But there's a hierarchy, and usually it's pastor emeritus, lead pastor, and then the pastor evangelist and the music pastor are usually like here.
I'd put the pastor evangelist above the music pastor.
Yeah, because of the family connection, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Because the top three are all the same family.
yeah,
They're all related.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's just like the idea of like helping somebody because you care about them and you want to help them has been severely damaged because I had and have that desire to help, and that's what he used. That's what he took advantage of. It makes me happy to help people and see something taken care of and everything. But because there was so much, it was like it took away. There was no way, even if I would convince myself I'm doing this because I care and I want to help, there was no way around the fact that even if I didn't, I had to do it.
yeah.
So like,
Because
those two
there was
things
a
are
consequence.
blurred. Yeah. Those things are blurred now. And so it's like now if somebody asks me to do something, or if there's like this need that somebody needs, like it's kind of like hard to see that they genuinely just care and need help and whatever, not that it's a requirement. I feel like it's a requirement. And I'm very like...
And you know what would really get me in those messages? Because they would say there are no requirements. They would say the opposite. Like everything we're saying right now. Because we did bring this stuff up to them. And then what they do is you bring it to them and then they gaslight you. And then there's usually a message about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's usually a reframing of reality for you. So that you no longer fight it. But just because they reframe reality doesn't mean they change reality. And reality is reality. But the way they would reframe it is, you should want to do this.
So basically, if you don't, then you're...
If you don't, there's something missing here. How is your walk with God?
Mm-hmm.
How is your care for your fellow man? That is what was... And so you're like, well, man, like, I do love God, and I do love you, and I do love people, and I want to do what's right. And that is, this is where it becomes specifically heinous, the way that they use people and the way that they used us. So this is not the actions of a biblical pastor.
Do you want to read that? I think that passage is like super applicable right now.
Yeah, the one, especially because I do want to share just one more thing, and then we can share this. As a wife, seeing this happen to Jonathan was torture. It was torture for me. And it was also torture for me to see it happen to my dad. And I remember when we were engaged, and I brought up different things that happened at the restaurant. And it's like, that was weird. Like, that's not okay. That was not okay. And I forget like what kind of things they said about how that it wasn't really them. Or I can't really remember.
They'd always blame the people.
They always blame the people.
Even though the pastor emeritus is the one who demanded that restaurant employ free labor. Like they had to work for free.
Yeah.
Which is not legal.
Not legal. So, so I saw my dad go through that, and I saw the pain that my family experienced. And so I remembered that. And then they reframed it, and they said, well, it was how, like we said, it was how they handled the situation. And so they're like, and so then the lead pastor is like, it's build the family, build the church. And I remember key moments where Jonathan would be working hard, and they would be like, now you gotta love your wife, now you gotta be with her, or or like do those things. But I understand the complexity of they say one thing with their mouth. They say one thing and they say, build the family, build the church. And yet they have this requirement to be taken care of completely and for everything that they need be fulfilled. Like everything that they demand must be granted. And so like at first I would be upset and be like, Jonathan, why can't, like, what is going on? Like, and then over time is when I saw he didn't have a choice. Because like me, I'm like, you need to tell them like, this isn't okay. You need to tell them that. And I would say that to you over and over again. I was like, Jonathan, this isn't okay. You need to tell them that it's not okay. But then over time, it became where I knew he was doing things and he wouldn't say he was doing things for them. Because he knew that if I had known he was doing those things, that I would be upset. And not at him, but upset at the fact that he was being required to do that. And on many occasions I brought up, especially to the lead pastor's wife, what Jonathan is doing is too much. What's going on here is too much. And they would gaslight and they would say you need to communicate more and all those things. But it was torture, and like it's very helpless to like see someone that you care about not know how to get out of a situation, because it is a situation he was groomed from infancy to be in. And like I'm just kind of like sassy, you know. I'm kind of like, I see it, it's wrong, move on, like, you know. But that's definitely something that he had to, and you're still realizing that for yourself. Like you still have a tendency to give. But so there's that. But it brought to mind this passage, Ezekiel 34, and especially like being concerned with Jonathan's heart and his health condition, which is like, by the way, he has had 5 open heart surgeries. Like who that is not normal. That is not common. Like
I'm 34.
You would think like he would be taken care of. Like pastors love and pastors lead and pastors like take care, but see, these pastors, they take and you care for them, but they take. Okay. And then I just thought of the Ezekiel 34:4. The weak you have not strengthened, the sick you have not healed, the injured you have not bound up, the strayed you have not brought back, the lost you have not sought, and with force and harshness you have ruled them. And I mean, like every single line has been the action of these pastors. And this is the passage where the Lord says to prophesy against the shepherds who feed themselves and the false shepherds.
Yep, I think this is probably, the finances is a big deal, but I think this area of my life was probably the most impactful because of the character, like beratement, like how they would just beat me down as a person. Mm-hmm. And it was much more interactive with them because I was working at their house or whatever. Whereas the finances were like, is the money there? Is the money not? And they wouldn't even get involved. They would just say it has to be there no matter what you do. And so like I didn't interact with them as much with the money because they didn't want to talk to me about it. But with this, it was more like, you're lazy, you put things off, you don't work hard, you do a bad job, therefore your company must be terrible, or your company's gonna fail because this is how you treat people and handle things. Like all of this stuff, it was just like beat down, beat down, beat down, beat down, and you're never right. Like the things are never gonna be good. You can never get it.
There's always
And
going to be one thing.
there's always going to be something. And he would text me, hey, I need my toilet fixed. I need my door fixed. My floor is squeaky. My this is that. And it's
These
like
are newly built homes, you know.
yeah, but I mean, even if it's not, it's just like multiple times a week I would get, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. I need my car washed. Hey, do you see the bird poop on my car? It needs to be washed. Like that was his. That was my
the story how this is how like litigious. I don't know if litigious is the right word, but like legalistic. Like every time you had to wash his car, that was a requirement as an being in there. Is you had to wash his car, and sometimes you had to pay for the car wash. I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, and sometimes I would just hand wash it. Like I couldn't take it through a car wash of any sort. Like
there were rules.
Yeah.
There were special rules. But one thing I remember seeing
But I did.
is you did?
Oh yeah, I took it through a car wash.
You would take pictures. I remember
Oh, I have
seeing,
so many pictures of their cars on my phone.
because you took pictures of every part of their car
Every inch of their car.
so that they could not come back
And
and
it happened.
say, and it happened, and you're like, no, I have a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now what?
I was like, I'm taking a picture of every part of this because if it's wrong, then whatever. Also, when I took it through the car wash, he knew I took it through the car wash. I told him like, and then he wanted it. Then he was like, you should just do it by yourself. So what, you can just get whatever. And he would never pay me for it. I don't think. I think he paid me like one time for it, but I did it so many times. It was just like my relationship with him became, what am I doing for him? What can I do for him? Who am I talking to? What company am I talking to? A water filtration company, a window company, a landscaping company. Who am I talking to? So I would communicate with them, then communicate with him and go back and forth. If something went wrong, I had to communicate with the client, the vendor, and then I also had, my relationship with him was that, or that was mostly my relationship with him because it just became like I was doing so many things for him and that's all he cared about.
And what, like, that's conditional love.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And then once I started backing off, he was like, you don't love me.
Yeah. Which is evidenced by the
Evidence
text.
of yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely a very sensitive topic that has just impacted me in general. So, but the thing that people need to realize is that if you think, if you think, oh, I want them to be taken care of, I want them to have what's good, I want them to this, that, and the other. That's great. The fact that you have that heart, the fact that you have that compassion is a great thing, you know? We want people to have good things. We want to help people. We have such a heart to help people, to see people that are hurting be built up, to see people that are in need be taken care of, all of that stuff. But when you are in a situation like this, and it's all, when the leaders are saying, you need to have a heart like this, do it for me, and completely ignore your needs, your situation, your capacity, your everything, that's just wrong. Like if you're sick, if you're in financial distress, if you're whatever, they should be helping you. They should be leading
when
you.
I think about the people left in there, your dad, how old is he?
68 this year. No,
Others,
he is 68.
August, he'll be 69. Then you have other people are young women.
No, I think what you're saying is spot on, because 68-year-old is now, I saw it while I was there, and I know too that he's the one having to take care of the yard. He's the
And
one.
you want
having
to know
do all those
something really
things.
sick and sad? Is like you're suffering so much in there that you just want someone to help you. And you don't necessarily like, and so like when your dad helped with things, it was like a relief for you.
Mm-hmm.
But then like now you're like, he shouldn't be helping with those things.
No.
Because that is not what a 60, but how come we respect the 70-something-year-old man who is the pastor emeritus and not the 68-year-old man? How come this man is not worth respecting? I don't get it. I never got it when I was in there. I never
You
got
would
it.
get just like random texts. You're just in your work day. Need birdseed, 2 bags tomorrow or whatever. That would be like the text.
Just simple words.
Just simple, like, need this done. And you'd have to just make sure that it got done no matter what your schedule was, like you had to do it.
And then, but I also think of like the young women too, like what is required of the young women in there. They're like the people in there. There aren't any more men to like do those things. And the women, like some of these people have health conditions.
Yeah. Most of them have health conditions or are old. Yeah.
And they do care about them, and they do things that to their detriment, all because they care, but also because I need you to see that there is a subliminal thing here of fear. Mm-hmm. Not that it's wrong to be afraid, because they have given you a reason to fear them. But you are afraid of what will happen if you don't. And that is not a healthy relationship. That is an abusive relationship.
And they will say to you, why don't you come and just bring these things to us? What do you think we're going to do? Bite your head off or whatever? They will say things, because we've heard this in the messages since, where they're like, you should just come and talk to us about anything.
They did it when we were in there.
They did it when we were in there, and they've done it since we've left.
And you come in to talk to them, and then you get in trouble for saying
And then you
your
get in
real
trouble
feelings.
for, exactly. So you can't go talk to them. I ain't never going
to tell you my feelings again.
No. And then they'll say, we're being accused of just being money hungry or whatever. That's just an accusation, but it doesn't have any place to land because the Holy Spirit or whatever. Well, something that I thought of that I remembered they would say in there all the time, actions speak louder than words. So let's go back and let's look at the past 25 years of their actions versus what they've said. Doesn't matter what they've said. What they've done is they've demanded money and that their bills be paid. They've put that over themselves ministering, making it possible for the church to minister and share the gospel. Their actions have spoken way louder than anything they can say, and they have demanded money over anything else. That has been their priority. Money and getting their practical needs taken care of. The lead pastor has a new car every few years. His wife has a new car, nice cars. They have a brand new house built. They always have the new Apple products, new TVs, new everything. They're not hurting financially, and they demand
the pastor
they're
emeritus
taken care of.
Has more than the other ones, like the other pastors, which I always found kind of strange. And because he's supposed to be not a pastor, but he is a pastor, but he's not a pastor. But he always gets the most money. And so how does that work exactly?
And it's
I
also,
never really understood that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But he demands it.
He demands it,
and he gets what he demands.
Yep.
And if he does not get what he demands, he loses it.
He
loses it. Yeah. Like, I just can't emphasize enough how much they will say the right thing. These pastors will say the right thing.
Yep.
They will say, go spend time with your family. I want you to be a millionaire so that you can... You remember that one?
Did we talk about that?
You said it, and we've had like 63 videos or whatever. So like, you said it definitely in one of the videos. And but why are you so focused on the money? Why are you so focused on the money?
Yeah.
Like, because we're gonna die if we don't bring it in. Like, that's why we're so focused on it.
All you do is scheme to try to make money. You just scheme and
you schemer.
Blah 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 blah. Why do you want to make $1 million? You don't need to make $1 million.
Yes, I do.
And
yes, I do, because I have to bring in $340,000 a year for you.
And the thing that they do is they know what we're gonna say.
Yeah.
So they really use that, and he said in that message, "Oh, you say that it's because of us that we've made you this way or whatever." Like they say that to then knock it down, like that's not true.
They're very crafty.
But because they know it's true, they know they are the ones that have demanded that and caused that, and so. Yeah.
And like they also like, so no matter how much like they say the right things, like it's for your family and you should do you should protect your body and you should do this for yourself and take care of yourself, and like they do not get to tell you like how to take care of you. And so you're so used to being given permission to rest, but I'm here to tell you, you don't need to give that power away to anyone to allow you to rest. You rest on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you need, and you don't need to rely on what some other person can tell you so you can feel okay to do that. And
the crazy thing is that you remember how, like when you're saying that, I'm thinking like the word no is a great word. Like say no to things.
Is that what they say?
Well, no. Well, that's the thing is like I'm thinking that like what these people need to do is just say no. But like, you know how in the church, especially the lead pastor would be like, you need to do all of those things. You need to take care of yourself. You need to say no, you need to whatever. Mm-hmm. But then you can't do that. But he can. He can say no to anything. Mm-hmm. He can say, I'm too busy, or I'm spending time with my family, or I'm not going to be able to do that, or whatever. He can say no. We can't say no.
Certain ones are given this privilege to say no.
Exactly.
But we were never given this privilege.
And if you say no, it's like, why are you saying no? You're supposed to figure out a way to do it. Even if you can't do it, you need to figure out a way for it to get done.
Saying no means you don't care.
Right.
Saying no is a death sentence.
Yeah. You can't
it's a
say
social death sentence. A death sentence I was willing to bear. Because some things are just not worth doing.
Yeah.
Some things are too torturous, and you will take the no and the social, ostracizing. But yeah,
They had the privilege of saying no. We didn't ever.
Yeah, and I will say, if you're a pastor, you have the privilege of saying no.
Yeah.
And so even though the pastors are abused and used, they still can say no more than the people that aren't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's quite a lot, but it's I feel like we even just kind of touched on the highlights. We didn't even get into the weeds of all of the things that happened. But if you see that, hopefully this will help you see that, the double standard of the pastors, like giving the pastors double honor does not mean that you were not important and you don't need to be taken care of and you don't need to take care of yourself.
And it also doesn't mean the financial stuff that you
And it doesn't, like, they can't define that as anything. So you need, like, pastors should be taking care of their flock, helping them, leading them, helping them financially, helping them spiritually, helping them emotionally, helping them physically, not take. And the hard thing about it is they will say, like, those things that sound so good, like take care of your family, take care of yourself, take care of this, that you think they are taking care of you, when in reality they're really not.
Exactly.
So that makes it difficult, I know. But well, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this was helpful. Please share these videos, comment, subscribe, like anything that you can do to help us promote these. That would be very helpful. We want as many people to see it as we can to hopefully help people in similar situations, as well as those that are still in the organization we came from. So Thank you for taking the time, and we will see you next time. Bye.